Good morning or afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and welcome to Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm joined by Tony Robinson today for an extra special episode, as we're joined by Accrington Stanley attacking midfielder Joe Pritchard. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Hi, how are you? You all right?
You're all right, mate.
We're really excited to chat with you here today, and of course you came over to Stanley this off season, and last year you had played with Bolton Wanderers, and you had of course been with the Spurs Academy before that.
Yep.
So let's start with talking a little bit about your early career. Now I understand that you were born in Watford. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, and so did you grow up as a Watford fan, or were you always a Spurs guy, or kind of how did that go?
Well, when I was younger, about between 5 to 8 years old, I had trials at Watford. I played at Arsenal. I had training sessions there as well, and throughout the whole time, I was at Tottenham development centres as well, which is what you did when you was like between them ages. So I had a mixes of a few clubs around the area. At that age, I just enjoyed playing football. It wasn't specifically for a team. My dad wasn't an avid fan of a particular club, so it was really just to play football. And then it wasn't until I kind of got onto the books at Tottenham and I chose them to train with kind of on a more permanent basis than just Tottenham, that I kind of just fell into supporting them as I grew up with the club.
Oh, okay. And you said you spent some time at Arsenal also?
Yeah, it was only like a few training sessions when I was younger, and just when you're seeing where to go and what to do. I can't remember who set it up or anything like that. It was just I remember having a few training sessions at Watford development centres, a few at Arsenal, and I was at Tottenham as well. But because I was at Tottenham for longer, like before and after, it just became natural to stay there.
It seems like in North London there, Joe, you had lots of options where you could go and train. So was it teams looking at you, or was it you having the option to go train with some of those clubs around your area?
I wouldn't have thought it was specifically them looking at me at that age. It was definitely just kind of like what was available around the area. For me, it wasn't even a question I didn't even think about. It was just where my mum and dad could take me to train, and I just wanted to play football. So wherever it was, it didn't half bother me. I wasn't even thinking about it. I just wanted to enjoy playing football.
When you mentioned about with your dad, generally a lot of people we talk to, is that their interest is follows on with the family interest. Your dad wasn't much into football, so that you took it upon yourself, or it's just something that you sort of took an interest at an early age?
Well, my dad played football until he was 41. So he played for years and years and years. He was always interested in the game. He was a good player. Never made it professionally or anything like that. But he had a few training sessions on Watford books at one stage in his, lifetime, when he was younger. So he played football. He was a good footballer. He was a fit man, and he played whilst I was growing up. So I always I've got an older brother as well, and obviously he was into football at a younger age. So I always used to play with him and the teams that he played with older boys. So I was just grown up into the game through my family kind of thing, through my older brother, through my dad playing football more than supporting football, just through playing.
So do you get your talent from your mom or your dad?
I'd say footballing talent from my dad, definitely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can't say my mum was out at the park standing in goal and helping us out when we was younger.
So you get your looks from your mum and your football from your dad?
Well, yeah, whatever looks they are, yeah.
Now you played a few years with the Tottenham under 21s, and you had a good year going. I think it was 2017-18 when you had 3 goals and 4 assists through 14 starts, and then you kind of had your career cut short there with an injury. That's when you moved on to Bolton, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was when I was an under 18 at Tottenham. I had a really bad injury, and then yeah, recovered and come back from that. And I was quite a big part of the Tottenham under 23 setup. Got a 3-year professional contract, and yeah, that ended up running out, and I got released from Tottenham before I came up to Bolton last season, and just played 1 season with Bolton.
Now, Bolton, certainly, we've covered pretty in depth on this show everything that's happened with Bolton, and of course they went into administration and had the big deduction at the beginning of this year, and you've gone on record as saying that it was definitely a difficult situation where you didn't necessarily know if you were getting a paycheck or not from week to week. What was it like to be in a situation where you were with a team that had so much going on financially like that?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting, definitely an experience that well, I wouldn't wish upon anybody, but I was at that point in my career. I was trying to break into a first team and really, start something off, because I'd never played any first team games before. So I was really trying to kickstart my career, and with that on the side, it was difficult to manage it more mentally than anything else. But I had really good people around me. I had, my family and everyone around me that really helped me out and made sure I was okay. At that time, I'd moved up to Bolton, which is about 4 hours away from Watford. So I had to. I was living by myself at the time, so I had a lot of things to do just by myself. So I made good friends at the club that were all in the same situation with me, and yeah, managed to get through it okay in the end.
Yeah, we had Jamie Spear on a couple weeks ago, who was goalkeeper for Accrington back in the early 2000s. One of the things that he had mentioned was kind of the first time that he ever moved away from home and learning to cook food for himself for the first time and things like that. And I see that you had kind of mentioned that things were a lot like that for you when you went to Bolton, where you kind of were learning to live on your own for the first time, and now you're all the way up in Lancashire. So, what's the difference between living in Lancashire and living in London? I imagine it's pretty eye-opening.
Oh yeah, when I was at Tottenham, I also stayed in digs, what they call digs.
Yeah, digs.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically where you stay in somebody's house, kind of near the training ground, make it easier to travel in every day. They help with obviously food and help with washing and stuff like that. But it's basically just to move out and be more independent and as professional as you can. So I did that for 2 years when I was at Tottenham. So that was kind of my first taster into living kind of by myself. So I had a little bit of a taster before I went to Bolton, and when I went to Bolton, I was kind of prepared, and I was matured enough to be able to handle myself well enough.
In an interview that you did at the beginning of the season back in May, you had kind of said that your biggest goal for this season was just to actually get out onto the pitch in first team minutes. And so now you've started 20 games now and played close to 1,800 minutes, which is the most that you played in a season. And so far you've really, to me, where I've really seen that you stand out is all those assists. You've got 5 assists, and I kind of call you Mr. Corridor of Uncertainty, because you have a knack putting the ball right into there. Has the creating part of the game always kind of been your forte?
Yeah, I think that's where I am most effective on the pitch. When I'm creating chances. So playing attacking midfield and further up the pitch, I feel like the attributes I've got in my game, being technical and agile, that I can create chances. So that's what after getting the game time that I've luckily got this year from working hard and trusted the manager. I've managed to get the appearances and tried to prove myself on the pitch.
Is that your favorite position, the center attacking mid? When I watch you, I just think that you are that textbook number 10, where you're the guy I want to see in the center of the pitch. Do you like playing there? Do you like playing the wing?
I only started playing kind of out wider this season. When I was younger and coming up through the academies and stuff, I was always a midfielder. So it's been a little bit of a change this season, playing out on the left. But I think I've adapted quite well to that position, having being out wide, and I've definitely got a lot of things that I need to improve on playing there. But my natural position would be more central, and I do see myself as a number 10. But obviously, a number 10's in this day and age, that it is essential. It's a wide position at the same time. It's very mobile. It's very free roll. It's very, get about the pitch in every position to create chances. So that's how I see more of my game played in, from central areas into wide areas, and kind of a mixture.
Joe, is the injury situation at Stanley, has that dictated your adaptability to more positions like going on the wing, or was that something John Coleman decided he wanted to do prior to the injury situation?
Well, obviously Sean's proven himself in the league year in, year out. So him having injury, he had a few little smaller injuries and suspensions at the start of the season, which gave me a small introduction into the team, and that's where I kind of filled in his position out wide on the left and in those wide positions. And from having good games there, that's where the gaffers, trusted me and put me there again, and that's where I've kind of filled into the role. And unfortunately, Sean got his bad Achilles injury at the start of this year, and it kind of made the gaffer made the decision to kind of put me in almost as a replacement and hope that I could live up to the expectations that Sean creates. So I'm working as hard as I can to do the same job.
I think there's the consistency that I've seen really is between you and Finley and Seamus Keneally. You three have really come through without any sort of interruptions from injuries. That consistency's got to help you in your game, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It was obviously from where I've come from and injuries that I've had, it's been quite difficult to build that like robustness on the pitch. I've been injured a lot when I was I've had some bad injuries, and now I've come through. I've kind of just tried to build a full season of fitness under my belt and stuff, which I did last year at Bolton, and I think that's helped me carry that into this year, and to have a full season of fitness.
Yes, hope so.
One of the things that I was wanting to ask you about, and I think that this is probably one of the questions that everybody was waiting for, is that goal you scored against Lincoln. That was a screamer. That one really became popular on social media, but just kind of tell us a little bit about how that one played out on the field.
So obviously I didn't start that game. I came on off the bench. 68th
minute, and it ended up with a goal and an assist.
Yeah, you're right. So I can't remember what the score was when I come on. I think we was 2-1 down, and we just missed a penalty. So I think the game before I was suspended, and we won and played really well. So we kept the same team for the next game. Which obviously put me on the bench as I returned back from my suspension. And I just thought, I've been suspended, I've come back, I feel good, I feel fit, had a little rest that weekend before from obviously not playing, and I need to get a shirt back in the team. And I thought, when I come on, I need to be electric, I need to come with everything that I've got. And luckily the opportunity fell for me to drive forward and have a shot, and I managed to hit another shot into the top corner, which was only my second league goal this season. but the first one was similar. Was a special goal as well.
That goal against Rochdale, and I've watched that several times. When you hit that ball, did you know it was in, or like did you just sort of have that instinct that, oh yeah, I've nailed this one?
I definitely knew I hit it well. I think a few weeks before that goal, I was trying kind of a different technique in training, and the different long shot with the dip of the ball. I was just practicing it in training and stuff, and seeing what it felt like. And I hit a few good ones, but when I was on the pitch and I struck that, I don't think I've ever caught a ball quite that well.
Yeah.
Definitely not in first team football, because that was my first professional goal. But yeah, I was over the moon when it went in.
Oh, it was a sweet hit. I mean, if that was in the Premier League, they'd be playing that on the highlight shows every weekend.
Yeah, they would be. Yeah.
One of the things that we were looking at here, just kind of going over the stat sheets here, is an amazing stat that I came across. Is you already have 144 crosses this year. You've got 4 times this year where you've hit over 10 crosses in a match, and a word that you used is electric. And I think that when you come on the pitch, there is just a little bit of extra electricity, because you're the guy that really seems to get everybody else feeding into it and getting the rest of the guys going.
That's very. I mean, I didn't know that. That's quite interesting, actually. I didn't know that. But that's what I mean. I try and do. That's what my position is on the pitch, to be out wide and get the ball and take on the opposition's fullbacks and get crosses in the box to create chances. And I feel like I've done it well. I would have liked to, had more of the chances put away and cross some better crosses to make it easy for strikers. Definitely with knowing that number now.
If you could tell John Coleman, if he ever needs any stats, he can contact our man Phil, because he's the man with the information.
Yeah, he's the stat man.
Yeah, that's my nickname around here, is stat man.
No, I'd like to know them. You'd have to send them over. I'd like to see what them stats are, because I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, well, definitely. I'll send some over. I've got all your game logs here and everything I can send over to you.
Oh, brilliant.
Now let's change the gears here a little bit. Just talk a little bit about off the field in Accrington, because Accrington, it's every player that we've had on the show has told us that it's a place where it just has a little bit more of a family feel than a business. How does Accrington compare with other places that you've played in terms of things like that?
Well, certainly. Like a smaller town, a smaller club than where I've previously been at before. But like you say, the family and the community feel of the club, the support that they get week in, week out is incredible. And it's my first experience really being a real part of the squad and feel like an actual player in the team. So to have that community feel and the family feel, whilst I've moved up north without my actual family is brilliant. It's really, really supportive, and it definitely helps me to feel special whilst I'm there.
Especially with a guy like Peter Latham, who, of course, arranged this interview with us. And we always like to thank Peter, because he just does so much for us here with Across the Pitch and with the North American Accrington Stanley Supporters Club. But it's just really amazing everything that the Supporters Club, and then you guys have things like the Memorial Garden, and there's also the...
Peter's brilliant. He works just as hard for the club back in England, and he gets us all involved, and all of the different media opportunities to see the different supporters and all the different age groups, get us into doing lots of talks and asking questions and stuff like that. And I just think it's brilliant to be part of that and get involved and see everyone realise who I am, being a new player at a club and feeling welcome, and I really enjoy it.
One of the things that That's I don't. It seems to be a bit unique with Stanley. Is the players, and this is a lot of the players have commented on, is that the accessibility to the fans, especially going into the bar after the match. How does that go feel for you as a player interacting like that?
I think it's brilliant. After we get good results and stuff and feel like we've played well, it's just good to share that experience with our fans that are, you know, so passionate and everything to make them feel part of it. Because I mean, you wouldn't see me in the bar after we lose, because I don't think I'd be able to talk to anybody. I'm in a bit of a mood after we lose games and stuff like that. But certainly after a win, it's brilliant just to share that passion with the fans, definitely.
You mentioned about the mood. How was the mood yesterday in the dressing room after that loss, and how do you personally get over a loss like that yesterday?
For me personally, I took a fair bit of responsibility. I felt like I missed a lot of chances that I should have put away. I felt like I could have been the difference between us putting chances in the back of the net that we didn't score. So it did quite affect me. It took me the whole drive home, because I went back to London after the game. So it took me the whole drive home to kind of reevaluate where I was at and kind of, you know, prepare myself again for the next few weeks of training. Yeah, the whole team was gutted. We was all in the change room. We must have been talking for about half an hour with the manager and the assistant about what we did wrong, what we haven't done right to win the game, and what we need to do in the next. I think we've got 9 games. After the next 9 games to the end of the season to get more points on the board.
I know the fans take it hard, but I think some of the fans don't realize is the players take it like you say personally, or take it harder than the fans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some players take it worse than others, and it can affect them. And for me, it definitely affects me straight after a game, especially when I start a game or I've had opportunities and missed, and you feel like you could have been the difference. Because at the end of the day, you can be the difference of winning and losing games, and that the difference in feeling if you've missed chances and you've lost, compared to if you put them away and you win and perhaps get a man of the match or something like that. The difference in emotion is incredible. There's the highs and the lows are crazy.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of some things that have got a little bit difficult on the pitch, one of the biggest things is that the injuries are kind of adding up. Of course, we talked about Sean earlier. Hughes went out last week, and then it's reported that he's not going to be back this season. Of course, Colby has been in and out of the lineup, and I probably isn't playing at 100% right now. How much are the injuries adding up? Is this something that really is? It just seems like you guys, when it gets to the 75th minute, you don't really kind of have the guys to come off the bench, because you have so many injuries that it kind of who you have out there is who you have.
Well, I mean, we do have a big squad at Accrington, and even the younger lads and the lads that haven't had much game time this season, I think they're more than capable of stepping up to the plate and coming on and affecting games and stuff like that. So it's not, I don't think it's a case of not having the personnel. It's just perhaps a case of because they've not played much and confidence and things like that, it doesn't quite work out. But in terms of, you know, the squad and the lads that have played a lot, obviously Sean's had his bad injury. Dimmy got he's been out for a little while as well. We've had, right. Like you say, Colby, and there is a few players that probably play a big part of the team that have been out injured, and it does affect the squad completely, but it just doesn't mean that people don't come in and take their chances and play well. We've had a lot of lads that don't play a lot of game time that have done well this season. So
that's the situation on Ross Sykes, Joe.
I haven't spoke to Ross actually. I didn't see him at the game, so I haven't. I saw him the week before in training, and he joined in training session, and I didn't ask him how he felt after, actually, because we was concentrating on the game.
So he should be back though soon. You think?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to speak for him, but I'd like to hope so. He's been playing brilliant this year.
I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, is that the consistency of the lineup not being there is probably what makes it the most difficult, because if you don't know who's going to be in that 11 for week to week, then you don't get used to, okay, if I play this ball here, I know this guy's going to be here, and that kind of thing really suffers when you have so many injuries, I'm guessing.
Yeah, obviously it comes down to what the manager chooses every week, and even without the injuries, if players are performing in training, then they'll start ahead of players that perhaps aren't doing as well in the games as well. So it's just a case of who's feeling good, who's training well, who's ready. You know, if you have maybe a practice game in the week or something, and who plays well in that. It's just a case of working hard every day, and at the end of the day, everybody in the squad and everybody in the team outside of the squad as well all work as hard as they can every day, and they try and do their best. So, you know, they can be as ready as they can if they do get an opportunity.
And speaking of the gaffer, one thing that comes up over and over again, and that I had read in an article from you, is that when John Coleman goes after a new player, he doesn't have somebody else do it. You'll hear from John Coleman himself, and that's kind of how it worked with you, is that the gaffer contacted you and said that you were asked if you were interested in coming to the team.
Yeah, definitely. I know between him and some of the rest of the staff in the first team, they watched me last year for a few games, and it was the first contact I received was through the manager. He wanted to meet me just in a Starbucks coffee shop near where we live, and yeah, I just met him and we had a chat. Before I went away on holiday, actually, before the end of the season.
I bet that's unique. Had you ever just had a manager want to meet you at a Starbucks like that before?
No, I've not experienced it before. It's probably the best way to get things done, because I think you definitely get a lot more out of face-to-face interaction rather than on the phone. So it's definitely worthwhile.
And I don't think that is just dictated by the size of the club. I think that's John Coleman himself would do that regardless of the size of the club. Correct?
Yeah, definitely. He's the staff are brilliant at Accrington. The way they speak to you, they're very honest with what they say. So you know, you never feel like you're missing out on a trick or anything like that. They're very honest. And that's what I think is the best policy, especially for me coming through and not playing games previously. That I needed his honesty, and to be at a club that could be honest with me to try and make a career.
It's like a family situation, like right from Andy all the way down to staff and everybody associated with the club. There's that family feel to it, first name basis. That I'm not sure it's unique to Stanley, but it makes Stanley special.
Yeah, it definitely does. It puts them in a position of strength from where the clubs come from, and if you've got the good foundations and a good base to work from, then you're definitely in a position where you can progress all the time. And I think that's why I've really enjoyed my time here. As much as I've dropped down to a club to I feel so at home here. And it's the perfect introduction into football for me, and having that good foundation and base that they've built through the chairman, through the manager, through all the players that have been there before, it's definitely helped me out.
Yeah, you're just getting that time on the pitch, like you said back in May, that you were looking for. Now, I know that Tony had a couple of very serious questions that he wanted to ask you. Are you ready for those very serious questions?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We asked Seamus Keneally a couple weeks ago when he had a full English, did he have it with black pudding or without?
Mine's without. My full English, yeah, is without black pudding, yeah.
And Seamus, to be honest, took credit for it's not a full English. He called it a full Irish. That the English had stole that from the Irish. So
that I wouldn't like to compete with Seamus about the facts on that one. Yeah.
No, we gave him that one. I wanted to ask too about League One. Your impression of the caliber of play. I mean, it seems like every weekend there's a team. Any team can beat any other team. What's your impression overall of the caliber of play in League One?
Oh, I mean, definitely. You've got clubs that range from massive teams like Bolton that has obviously been in their situation and they've fell down, and we played away there last week. And just seeing the different size of like stadium and things like that is such a interesting difference in the league. But when we play against teams like that, and you can take it to them, and you can always compete in a game of football and get a result against any team you play, and that's the best aspect of the game, that you can, not even just in League One, you can play against Championship teams and Premier League teams and cause them trouble. So it's definitely the best thing about football, is that you can't take any team for granted. You just have to turn up on the day and play the best football you can.
When we talk to some other guys, the one team that's come up over and over again as being the class of League One this year is Oxford. Everybody kind of says that Oxford has the best quality. Would you agree with what the other guys have said in terms of that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we played them twice already this season, and yeah, they were a very, very good team. The way they play football, you can see it's been drilled into them by their manager and staff, and I mean they played some unbelievable games of football and scored some really good goals I've seen. So yeah, they're definitely up there. They're definitely done well.
Who are some of the other clubs that you've been most impressed with on the opposition side this year?
Rotherham, I thought were a very good team. They definitely know the personnel of their squad and what's most effective for them to get results, which proves why they're up there around the top of the league. That's probably the other team that I would say were very good.
They really stuck out to you there. And then you had a question there, Tony?
Well, I was just going to follow up on those the teams that you have yet to play. You've got Fleetwood are on a good run. You play them at home, and Coventry, you've got to play them. But looking when you played against Ipswich, played at Oxford at home, you've really handled those top teams well when you play at home. So there's no reason to figure you can't get a result from those matches, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's what we've done so well in this season. We've came against some top teams and played, not just one, played a lot better than them as well.
Yeah.
So that's what certainly going to be interesting towards the end of the season. What games we will definitely be bringing it to them when we play against them. So it will be interesting.
Yeah, you guys have certainly shown that you can compete with anybody in League One this year. And so now looking forward, what do you see are the goals that you have for your career going forward? Do you plan to stay at Stanley again next season, or are you going to explore your options?
I certainly want to continue at Accrington. It's been a brilliant year for me. Appearances in the game is definitely what I need to really get going and get myself on the map. And it's been brilliant for me this season. So yeah, to change would be crazy. I'm quite enjoying myself. And I think I've got a lot of improving to do, and I've got a lot of things that I want to do better at. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
And I think this year this is obviously a unique year for League One with Bury dropping out. You've got probably usually 50 points is required to stay in League One. This season, it could be around that 45, 46 mark. So, I mean, you're only 2 wins really away from securing safety, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've not personally thought about it too much. I just want to, take every game as it comes, really, and just literally put every effort into just winning that single game, and that's, I think that's the best way to go about getting as many points on the board, is just by taking every game as it comes and trying to win that individual game, because at the end of the day, that puts 3 points on the in the table.
In sports in general, that whole one game at a time, it's almost, well, it has become a very cliche thing, but it really hasn't lost its importance, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. It's just focusing on that next game at hand, because if you're worrying about the game that's happening 4 weeks from now, that's just going to distract you from the task that's at hand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's so important in football. It's whether you're close to the bottom, whether you're fighting to get promotion. It's just, at the end of the day, all you need to do on that day is win that game. And if you think too much about what's going to come next or what the future is, then your mind isn't fully concentrated on what you need to do at that present time. So I think it's so important to concentrate on the present.
We're getting close to the end of the questions that I had for you, Tony. What did you have that we hadn't gotten to yet?
Well, one of the things that interests me is for a player is like a day after a match, a day off. Like, what do you do on a day off to sort of unwind or for enjoyment?
A lot of it for me is seeing family or seeing my girlfriend when she comes and visits me, just to take that like kind of mental like away from the game and stuff like that. So I think it's important to see family and see important people to kind of take your mind off it. Today I went back to London last night after the game, so I've been to the gym this morning with my brother's girlfriend, my girlfriend. Had breakfast at David Lloyd. So that for me is probably the best way to recover. Get in the gym, do some
David
stuff.
Lloyd, we had him on the show earlier this week.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I did want to ask you about, and this is another one of those really serious questions, but there's a guest that we've wanted to get on ever since we started the show, but we have a really hard time getting a hold of him. But we thought that since you're from Watford, that you may know Sir Elton.
Say again, sorry, I didn't hear that.
I was saying, did you happen to know Sir Elton, being from Watford? We've been trying to get him on the show and thought you might be friends with him.
No, I didn't know. I've never known him.
Maybe you could just give us your favorite Elton song. I'm sure that you must have would be from Watford.
Well, Rocket Man is probably have you seen the film?
No, I have.
Yeah, the Rocket Man. The Rocket Man song is probably up there.
Yeah, I mean that's just one of the best songs of all time. I mean, who doesn't know Rocket Man?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, what else did you have there, Tony?
No, I think that's pretty well covered to what I was looking at. I'm always quite interested in the players' recovery and what they do off the pitch for to sort of unwind and how it affects the player. And I think Joe has expressed quite clearly on what goes through a player's mind within the period after the match. So I certainly appreciate the insight from you, Joe.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Did you want to ask about the bacon buddies? I don't think you asked about that ever.
Oh, well, and that's obviously a word that's not sort of a North American term, but on your bacon buddy, do you red sauce or brown sauce?
Been a heated debate on Twitter this week.
Definitely red sauce for me.
All right.
Red sauce. So you're the first one on the show to say red sauce. So Twitter's going to have something to say about that. And then mushy peas or no mushy peas?
Mushy peas, definitely. I love them.
All right. Well, you probably made some friends back with that answer. Now, is there anything that you wanted to talk about or mention that we hadn't asked you about over the course of here?
No, it was brilliant. Enjoyed that, definitely.
Well, we enjoyed having you on, and we really appreciate you taking the time with us. And we will be watching Accrington Stanley on iFollow over here from North America, like we do every week. And we look forward to seeing you play, hopefully for this year, next year, and as long as maybe Stanley run up to the championship and you stick with them long term, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to see it too. I hope I can play well as much as I can and give you something enjoyable to watch.
I hope in September when I'm over, Joe, that that you're there and I'll come and say hi to you.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be brilliant.
All right. Well, we wish you good luck for the rest of the season and 3 points in your next match. And thank you again for coming on the show. And have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Joe.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Joe.
Cheers.
On Stanley on.